in a program that we've been doing in partnership with Wooglamai Environmental Education Centre, where we've been running Youth Leading the World with young people from southwestern and western Sydney in a residential camp style, and Seda, and then we got the kids to go back to their schools and actually work directly with the schools during the camp, which was a really powerful thing to do. And Seda's kind of picked up that whole skill set and has run with it, and I'll pass over to you.
Before I begin though, I think some acknowledgements are in order. Sue, you're someone I hold in utmost esteem. You are more than an environmental warrior, more than a guide, more than a wellspring of wisdom. You are a living, breathing well of inspiration, without which I feel compelled to admit I wouldn't be the person I am today in the world. I dare say it wouldn't be a beautiful place. To say this year has been a busy year would be an understatement of colossal proportions. At the beginning of term 1 of this year, our environmental group was still little more than a smallish bunch of rambunctious senior students with massive plans but little in the way of leading them to a state of fruition by the end of the year. We are now a group of over 50 students from across the student body, a dynamic mixture of different cultures, ages and life experiences, most poignantly evident in the increased participation by our school's refugees, whom have been in the country for no more than a few years, and in some cases months. I feel that this shift has been one of the most profound for our group holistically. This diversity of experience adds an extra texture to our ecological quest. It also helps to reassert the humanist strand of environmental consciousness and grassroots action that sometimes finds itself not so much neglected but more swamped by the abstract and the numerical. The human crisis, as I'm sure you're all well aware, in the coming years and decades is going to be one of the most dramatic, especially in the third world from which these students are from. And as I have stated, our group is a daily reminder of this very real reality that both grounds our work but also allows for the envisioning of previously unimaginable heights. So we are more diverse than ever, but to say we are any less rambunctious would mean that I'm kidding myself, as our coordinator will surely attest to. We are more diverse, no less rambunctious, but what about the third leg of the aforementioned stool of our massive plans? Probably the most important is that of our plans is that of our Eco Congress of about 100 students in 2013 to increase greater inter-school communication and perhaps a few extra gardens. These plans were not only brought into fruition, but the fruits were larger and sweeter than we could have anticipated. Our planned Eco Congress that we thought ought to mirror that of our 2013 one, which, without sounding too self-glorifying, was the largest Youth Leading the World Congress of that year, ended up becoming a mammoth 600-student organizational feat that went down to about 450 students after a few left last minute. But we had about a dozen primary and secondary students from across our region. And in hindsight, we ought to have fundraised a little harder to get an event manager in to save myself the burden of tediously labeling wristbands and the like. Alas, though I spent countless hours designing tutorial books, multimedia forums, and PowerPoint presentations, the event was beyond gratifying, especially when Dr. Carl sent me back a text to confirm that he would actually speak at the event. And he's a contact that I've managed to maintain, and he's going to give me a bit of a tour of his studios in a few days, which is really exciting. The thrill from seeing so many students, teachers, principals, community stakeholders, and other environmental leaders is one of the most profound adrenaline rushes imaginable. And with the benefit of hindsight, it was the intangible aspects of the Congress that are the most plastered in my mind. Hearing students of little more than 12 years old describing their sense of empowerment in protecting and their sense of belonging to their local and international ecological context only gave my own sense of these things greater momentum and a more profound and poignant purpose. A staple in all school environmental groups is, of course, the humble vegetable garden, a medium for not only gaining practical environmental knowledge, but a less tangible, almost metaphysical reconnection or regeneration, as I ought to put it, reconnection to the land from which we originate and share an inextricable and beyond sheer logistical relationship with. Our gardens have always been a central aspect of our Environment Club's mission, and this year we feared that due to all of our other work, they may be neglected. Our prediction couldn't be further from the truth, with a mural planned and underway for our existing gardens,
the creation of an Australian native bush tucker garden in collaboration with our local Indigenous community, as well as a project with Grand Designs Australia not only in the pipeline but in the stages of serious architectural planning, analysing and consulting. All of these activities and projects would be little more than an idealistic dream without a carefully balanced duality made up of fundraising and community involvement and consultation in both our school setting as well as our broader community and the stakeholders it pertains to. Fundraising, as I'm sure you're all well aware, is something of a grounding force in that it allows for the constraints placed upon a lot of the work we do to be more tangible and hence more constructive. It also teaches us a very profound lesson of the nature of the environmental movement more holistically, and that there's little use in being too utopian and not believing that a separation between environment stakeholders and the wider business and corporate communities is linked and in a quasi-symbiotic relationship of sorts. We need everybody's involvement if we're going to ever tackle the big issues of our time, and the exclusion of stakeholders such as the business community, local, state, and/or national government spell disaster for all that we hold in utmost regard, and all that we not only yearn for but have a profound sense of need. Of course, I'm sure that recent political events in Canberra will make this reality a little bit more palatable. The reality of the need for diverse community-wide involvement was most palpable when I attended the award ceremony for the Green Globe Awards, of which I won the Youth Sustainability Champion Award, and yeah. At the ceremony, I found that there was a true cross-section of the environmental movement in our state, including corporations, small businesses, NGOs, universities, libraries, academics, amongst many others, and all of whom were using the tools at their disposal to make a tangible imprint on the environmental movement more generally. The next day at school, I was invited onto assembly to speak of this achievement, and in doing so, I had an epiphanal moment regarding just how far this quest has gone so far. The same could be said of the feeling I'm having as I haphazardly write this speech on the way here. It is these moments of reflection that give the most authentic indicator of the role OzGREEN, the Youth Leading the World program, as well as the unwavering constituents it's made up of, have played in not only my own development, the development of my environmental club, but genuinely the development of ecological consciousness and conscientiousness internationally. OzGREEN has empowered one of the most crucial stakeholders in environmental discourse, and that is youth. Through your work, youth truly are able to lead the world to higher heights and help avoid the lowest of hypothetical lows, and for that we are forever indebted. For that has given us a renewed meaningful path. You can't lead anyone further than you have gone yourself, and OzGREEN truly has gone the length that allows for poignant leadership on the macro level. Thank you for reminding us that whatever befalls the earth befalls man. Thank you for reminding us all that man did not weave the web of life, that we are a strand of it. That's it. Woo!